We have an update on a WWE superstar who suffered a recent health scare, and CM Punk was blocked from AEW television. But first, let's go to the key stories coming out of last night's episode of AEW Dynamite, a show that would kick off with a mystery attacker angle. The first shot of the night would show the back of an ambulance, with commentary confirming that Matt and Nick Jackson had been jumped. Hangman Page was also on the scene to check on the brothers, this before jumping in the back of the ambulance that carried Nick Jackson, further developing the story of will he or won't he link back up with the Elite. Throughout the night, seeds were planted that positioned the Blackpool Combat Club's Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta as the culprits, and whilst we never received 100% confirmation, this does appear to be the case after an incident that we'll discuss later in the video. Elsewhere on the show, an upcoming match was confirmed for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. After being confronted by FTR after their win over Top Flight, champions The Guns would let Dax and Cash know that no matter what they offered them, there is nothing that will persuade them to give them another shot at the tag belts. This was until Dax decided to put it all on the line, proposing that if FTR don't win, they will leave AEW altogether. The match is of particular interest given the ongoing contract saga involving FTR, with some fans feeling that this is the way to write them off of AEW television ahead of their departure. Dax Harwood has claimed on his podcast that their deals end in April, before recently revealing that a decision has been made between WWE and AEW. However, it's worth noting a couple of reports, firstly from PW Insider, who would recently write that FTR were in fact locked into long-term contracts despite the claims. It was also recently reported by WRKD Wrestling that FTR were in line to win back the AEW tag titles, with the news breaking even before their recent return at Revolution. Either way, we'll soon find out if Dax's claims are a work or a shoot. And speaking of match reveals, Adam Cole is set to make his in-ring return next week on AEW Dynamite ahead of the launch of the All Access documentary series, with Cole's recovery from concussion being one of the topics of the show. Last night, Adam Cole Bebe's opponent was finally confirmed when he was confronted by Daniel Garcia of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Adam has been out of action for several months at this point, with him not being seen in the ring since the Forbidden Door show in June 2022, with him potentially set for a feud with Chris Jericho and co. were they to get involved next week. Kenny Omega and AAA Mega Champion El Hijo del Vikingo would steal the show in the main event of AEW Dynamite, with the latter showing exactly why he's the top star in Mexico right now. After showing off his incredible moveset and general in-ring awareness in front of a more than pumped Independence, Missouri crowd, Vikingo would come close to a victory. However, the cleaner would eventually manage to land the one-winged angel, leading to a victory. With Kenny now scoring a win over the AAA Mega Champ, many now expect a rematch with the title on the line at some point in the future, likely in Mexico next time around. And now let's get to what happened after the match, as following the one-winged angel and the pinfall, the BCC would hit the ring to take Omega out, stomping him into the canvas. This would then lead to ambulance sirens coming from outside the arena, with the camera showing Hangman Page driving the vehicle, this after accompanying the Young Bucks to the hospital earlier in the night. After fighting the Combat Club off with a bat, Omega's manager Don Callis would feign an injury in order to make it look like Page hit him too. When Omega finally came around, he would fall for the trick, turning down Hangman's approach for reconciliation. Throughout the episode, Callis would try and get into Omega's head, telling him that he's best off without the Bucks anyway, noting that they could be out for months thanks to the attack, with his plan to turn Kenny away from the Elite continuing. And before we get to the rest of today's stories, be sure to subscribe to Wrestle Planet if you haven't done so already, as we aim to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And also head over to Wrestle Planet Gaming if you're into wrestling video games, ahead of the launch of both AEW Fight Forever and WWE 2K23. But with that said, let's get to the rest of the video. Now let's get to some news concerning some absent WWE superstars, starting with former world champion Randy Orton. The Viper has been missing from TV since May 2022, with him suffering from a back injury at the time, and numerous reports have since created concern amongst fans regarding his future in wrestling, with some worried that he may not return to the ring at all. Well, we now have some positive news from PW Insider, who are reporting that Orton is scheduled to be in Los Angeles for WrestleMania weekend next week. Whilst this isn't confirmation that he will return to television, it's certainly news that suggests this could be in the plans, whether it be at Mania itself or on Raw the next night. Bray Wyatt is another talent fans haven't seen for a while, albeit this time a matter of weeks rather than months. With a variety of reports floating around regarding why he's absent, the most consistent reason appears to be that he's missing due to illness, with his WrestleMania status up in the air. Well, according to WrestleVotes via Give Me Sport, Wyatt is in fact out due to an undisclosed health issue, before noting that if Wyatt misses Mania, there is a backup plan for his planned opponent, Bobby Lashley, and they would report. A personal health issue on Bray Wyatt's part is going to keep Bobby Lashley off the WrestleMania card. With that said, I know that there's a backup plan. I do know that they're going to get Lashley on the card in some form. I heard the plan for Bobby had something to do with LA Knight. I think there's a tie-in with some type of segment that LA Knight is going to be involved in. WrestleVotes would then issue a follow-up to the report on Twitter, noting that WWE will find a way for Lashley to be on the card regardless of Wyatt's status, although the LA Knight encounter isn't set in stone as the backup, with them adding, WWE will find a way to get Lashley on the card. A match versus LA Knight isn't planned as of now, but has been discussed for over a week. Another name that's been absent from WWE television as of late is Alexa Bliss, who would provide an update on her whereabouts earlier this week. Bliss would reveal that she recently underwent a biopsy to check a spot on her face that had worsened, which was eventually found to be a basal cell carcinoma, which is a common form of skin cancer. Alexa would then reveal that she's now had the issue dealt with and wrote, "Thank you, don't worry, short healing time. Always get your skin checked, especially if you are in the sun or using tanning beds, lol. There was a spot on my face, yes, that had gotten worse. So went to get biopsy, was basal cell carcinoma. During my procedure, doc also found other squamous cells. Was a quick and easy procedure, glad I always get my skin checked." And in other Alexa Bliss related news, the former WWE Women's Champion would be confirmed as one of the contestants on The Masked Singer last night, with her identity being revealed after being eliminated from the show, this after singing Can't Fight the Moonlight earlier in the night. She would become the 10th singer to be eliminated in season 9 of the show. On last night's news video, we would discuss an interview with FTR's Dax Harwood and Fightful, which revealed that the absent CM Punk has been reading former wrestler and Florida booker Steve Kern's book as of late, which has made him miss wrestling. Punk has now responded to this himself on Instagram, revealing an interesting story of a backstage brawl between Kern and Coco Beware, seemingly a reference to Punk's recent encounter with the Elite, and he would write, "There's a great story about Gator and Coco fighting in the locker room, and then Jerry Lawler drags them in the office the next day and they squash it. Fascinating. Best book about a fascinating man in a strange business since Brett wrote his book." And speaking of the Elite and CM Punk, eagle-eyed fans would spot that the latter's image was blocked during the opening segment of AEW Dynamite last night, which saw the Young Bucks being taken away to hospital. If you look closely in the background, you can see a bunch of items stacked up against the production truck in a very specific area in order to block an image of CM Punk. Why this was done is unknown, although there has been very little reference to Punk on screens since the All Out incident, with Tony Khan going out of his way to say no comment to any questions regarding his future. And lastly, regarding his future in All Elite Wrestling, Dave Meltzer would take to Wrestling Observer Radio last night to give an update on the situation, noting that Punk wants to make a comeback to the company, and Meltzer would note, "What it says is that he wants back in, which we've already known. Other people have said that too, that he's looking to get back in. It's up to Tony Khan, and Tony's going to make a decision at some point. He's probably just about ready, if not ready already, from the torn triceps. So it's one of those things that he can do soon enough." And before you go, make sure you check out the most improved superstar ratings in WWE 2K23.